Nick's first step is really, it's kind of like the stages of death. His first step really is denial. You know, this can't be happening. And as he realizes that, yes, this is happening, it moves on to anger. I need to just set this right so I can get out of here.
This film captures a pivotal moment in Nick's life because he has to decide, do I take the high road or take the low road? And the low road is stealing Tony's money.
Tony was one of the best cook we had here on the deep fry.
Never put money in the bank, I know, because they don't trust. Said, don't trust the bank.
The rumor is, yeah, he had some money, I think, yeah. He always looked kind of puffy around the midsection when he came in, you know.
You just have them wrapped up, have money wrapped up, and have it wrapped up the other way. 4 or 5 bags wrapped up in money wrapped up in it. That's it.
I don't know how much he had, but I bet you he got a couple of 100,000 for sure. No, he never spent any money, he never buy any clothes. All his clothes, look like 100 years old, being washed, 1,000 times. So you gotta have something, something cash in with him.
But if you don't know the city, the Tenderloin is one of the worst parts of the city. It looks like a slum, really.
When you walk into that area, you get you can sense there's a little danger. You can sense that the mood is changing a little bit. And so this film is going to explore a little bit of those areas, the Tenderloin, which is a fascinating area. There's a lot of history in the Tenderloin, and there's a lot of culture. San Francisco culture has come from the Tenderloin. A lot of writers, musicians, young people trying to get their start, and a lot of the city's kind of forgotten people live there as well.
He was walking home all the time. From here, he knows, Tenderloin every night, because he never leaves until everything is clean. He was cleaning the kitchen where he was working. Sometime the other guy say, Tony, let's go home. Let me finish my job.
It made perfect sense, because that's where you could hide. That's where you could be a ghost, is in the Tenderloin. And that's where you'd almost be accepted for being that. And so Tony could walk through the Tenderloin with these bags of money and really not be hassled, probably because they didn't see him to a certain extent. It was okay for him to be there. Of course, if they knew it was bags of money, I don't know how long he'd last. It's pretty tough.
The irony is that the Tenderloin, even though it's kind of dangerous and sketchy there, is actually kind of protection for Tony, because it's always crowded, it's always up. There's always people out. And so it'd be hard to actually mug Tony in the Tenderloin, So for Nick, he wants to steal this money. It's not an easy thing. Like, he's got to figure out how to steal it, because Tony walks from work, then to his hotel, all on the streets. There's cars passing. And then he gets into his residence hotel, and then it's locked down. You can't get in unless you live there. So how do you steal Tony's money?
Well, our film, Tony's Money, opens in Spain. And it opens on the beach after a long night for our protagonist, Nick. And Nick's had a few too many drinks. He always takes the low road. And this road in particular finds him waking up at dawn on a beach in the south of Spain, sleeping on some fishing skiff. And he's woken up by Reynaldo and Curo, who are kind of small-time thugs in the south of Spain, with some bad news.
Hey, Nick. Hey!
That. That's not good for the hangover.
Sweet dreams, Nick.
Yeah, beautiful blonde. Thanks for fucking it up, Reynaldo.
Beautiful blonde. You still like brunettes?
Sure, why?
Because we had some troubles with your girlfriend over at the Venta.
¿Qué pasa?
¿Qué pasa? Esta tía está loca.
¿Cómo?
¿Cómo? Que mandó a mis hombres para allá a dejar la mercancía y dijo que no quería guardar la mercancía.
¿Estás seguro?
Seguro, es seguro. Es un gran problema, Nick.
Sí, sí, sí. ¿Verdad?
You go and talk to her, Nick. This is a good seller. You understand?
Sí.
Qué olor, ¿no? Qué peste, bien.
Oh,
Joder. Joder. Bueno, aquí en España eso trae suerte, ¿eh?
¿verdad?
suerte.
Yeah.
Buena suerte, ¿eh?
Buena suerte, ¿eh?
Sí.
Organízate, Nick. Organízate, okay?
Vale. Nick is a drifter. He's a drifter who has searched for his identity outside of his family. And in the process, he finds himself in Spain. He finds himself making a living any way he can, but not being a slave to getting ahead, to money, not being a slave to money. And that's a priority for him. He does what it takes to get by. And there's a certain charm in it, but there's a certain sadness that comes at a point. That here's somebody whose life is getting away from him. And it doesn't mean that he has to have this great pile of accomplishments or accumulation of wealth. But where does his depth as a person come from if he never stays in one spot? And how does he find his identity if he's always kind of on the run and he doesn't settle? And it comes from relationships. And Nick's relationships in Spain only go so far. I mean, he only commits so much to those relationships.
People in Spain really understood the character Nick. When we were there hanging out, talking with the actors and with people, they see that person in Spain. In the south of Spain, they see a character like Nick, someone who kind of drifts in, lives hand to mouth for a while, and maybe drifts out.
And in his drifting, he makes relationships. He uses his charm. He uses things that are outside of financial influences.
He has fun. He has no responsibility. He hangs out. He hangs out with different women, and really, there's just no. Every day is a new day, and there's no real commitment to anyone there. He's just living for himself.
And that's when he receives a phone call that his father died. And his father works as a waiter in San Francisco in the oldest restaurant in the city at Sam's Grill. And that brings Nick, it forces Nick to go home. It forces Nick to face himself, and it forces Nick to face the problem that awaits him. And that has to do with money. His family's in debt. His father left a debt. And that makes Nick focus on what he's trying to avoid, what he has tried to avoid his whole life, and that's being a slave to money. And now he just wants to set things right with his family, set things right so he can step away again. And that's all he wants. He wants his life back. But Nick isn't sure what his life is at this point because he's never really committed to anything. He's never stuck to anything.